Welcome to the Black Anarchist Podcast, a channel where critical thinkers come to learn and grow. Through pedagogical discussions, we challenge the status quo, conventional narratives, and present raw truth. I'm JC, author of The Black State Project, The Path to Sovereignty, Reparations, and Rebuilding Black Wall Street. Today, we're going to discuss a debate that Charlie Kirk had with an anarchist. I think that it could have gone better, but I don't think that the anarchists actually presented our position very well. But let's go ahead and play the video.
Okay, well, just a quick follow-up, then why do every single time I talk with one of the people in TPUSA, I have to explain to them what libertarian socialism is and that it's different from authoritarian socialism?
Okay.
And the second, the original second question is, what...
Why don't you explain it to me? Because I've read about it, and again, it's quite contradictory.
No, it's not.
So explain it to me.
Okay, as a libertarian socialist, right, as you would know, workers controlling the means of production, right, that's just like an economic thing. I don't believe in big government, right? I believe
You don't?
No government.
No government.
Little to
So
no
you're an
government.
anarchist.
Yes. I believe in voluntary hierarchy and democracy.
Okay, so, wow.
That is a contradiction. Democracy is not a voluntary hierarchy. I don't think most anarchists believe in democracy. We see democracy as being tyranny. We see it as being inherently violent. So I guess what he means is that we believe in consensus, that we do believe in a majority, but you have to agree to it in the first place. It has to be a voluntary association before you can even get to the so-called democracy. But it's not democracy the way that most people understand democracy.
But let me ask you a question, in all seriousness. No, here's the question. Here's a serious question, though. What's preventing you from doing what the Amish do, get off the grid and just go live like that right now?
Well,
That is such a non sequitur, to just go off the grid and live like the Amish. And his response was completely laughable. The reason why you can't just go off the grid is because property rights don't exist without a state. So even the Amish, the only reason that the Amish are allowed to own property is because it is recognized by the state. The Amish still have to pay taxes. The Amish still is governed by the state. The Amish, anybody who lives off the grid, because I consider that, right? Why don't I just go off the grid? Because the state won't leave me alone. I don't have a right to travel without being harassed. I still can't work in certain vocations without being licensed by the state. I can't grow vegetables on my own property without permission from the state. The state controls every aspect of our lives. We don't have the right to marry without a license from the state. We don't have a right to own a gun in many states without a license. Even property rights. You don't have property rights in a vacuum. Property rights are just privileges which are given to you by the state. Property rights are just a right to exclude. But according to the social contract, the sovereign is the master of all property. So this is a non sequitur to say that you can just go live off the grid. And then it gets even worse because he tries to portray himself as the victim.
the Amish are religiously excluded.
No, forget the religious component.
well,
But
because
the Amish are a great example.
It's incredibly difficult to just pick up everything that you have, leave, and go into.
So you want to tell me how to live?
Right. First of all, it is difficult, but this is what they always say. If you don't like it, just move. And usually they don't just say go to, I don't know, go live off the grid. Usually what they'll say is go move to another state or go move to another country, as if that is going to liberate you. No, I want to be free where I am. And what he's saying is, oh, you're trying to tell me how to live. So Charlie Kirk is the victim here, right? We're the aggressors. They're not the aggressors. They're not the ones who are trying to tell us how to live our lives. They're not the ones who want to regulate who gets to get married, who can work, who can earn a livelihood, who can live where. No, we're the aggressors and he's the victim, right? So we're trying to control him because apparently these conservatives think that they are the victim. If you don't If you don't want to be oppressed by them, then you're trying to impose your will on them, right? They're the victor. They're the victims. So if they don't support abortion, they're not going to respect your right to live your life the way you want and tell you or allow you to do what you want with your body. They're going to impose their will on you. And if you resist, then you're imposing your will on them. They're the victims, right? They're the aggressors, but they see themselves as the victim. You're trying to infringe on my religious beliefs because you don't want to have children that you don't want to have children against your will. So that infringes on my religious belief. You want to be transgender? Oh, that goes against my religious belief. So you're infringing on me. This is how they frame this, right? And he's absolutely right about the whole libertarian socialism. Noam Chomsky explained this at length, that the original libertarians were socialists, that the workers control the means of production, therefore property rights are illegitimate, because property rights give you. This wasn't Noam Chomsky. This was actually Proudhon, but this is what all anarchists believe. Property rights give you the right to live without working. It gives you the right or the ability to exploit workers just because you have a state granted privilege, which gives you monopoly over private property. And without the state giving you capital, you would not have the ability to live without working. So it is theft because in a state of nature, nobody can own land that they're not using. You can only own land that you are making use of. And workers are the ones who make the land, make the capital productive. And so you have a greater stake in the property because you have made it useful. And the capitalist is exploiting you and is essentially enslaving you with the help of the state. The state gave you the property, and then you get to use your property to enslave other people. Gosh, there was another video, which it was so short. I wish I could have found the full video so I could actually review. He was debating another anarchist. It was a stupid non sequitur. Basically, let me just tell y'all what the whole this. It was a 1 minute clip that I saw. He told her that if she doesn't like capitalism, then she should just make her own stuff. He's like, why did you buy that hat that you're wearing? She's like, because I don't have a choice. He's like, oh, you have a choice. You can just make your own hat. No, you don't understand how capitalism works. Capitalism means that they own a capital, so they are able to exploit the workers and produce. You don't own capital, so you don't have the ability to produce. Even if you wanted to make your own hat, you would still have to buy the materials from the capitalists. You can't be self-sufficient under capitalism unless you were to create your own local economy, which is completely self-sufficient, which is, by the way, the reason why I'm trying to promote the Black State Project, because for all the people who think that they're opposed to capitalism, it's really empty rhetoric if you're not actually going to do anything to dismantle the system. If you're not actually trying to dismantle the state, create your own system, and then have an actual socialist system, then it's all for naught. Why are you talking about how you're such a socialist when you're not actually willing to do the work? You're not actually supporting dismantling the system. You're telling me that I'm going too far. You're just not interested. You just want cash reparations. You just want to remain in the same predicament, and you just want to complain ad infinitum. I don't respect that. I don't respect it at all. I think you're a coward. I think you're feckless. I think that you enjoy your own oppression, and I pretty much think that you deserve it, which I'm going to do another video explaining why those who don't want sovereignty absolutely deserve to be oppressed.
No, I'm not telling you how to live.
No. You are, because you're arguing for a governmental structure.
A lack of one, rather.
So even a lack of a governmental structure will then make me live the way you want me to live. I'm not going to.
That is absolutely ridiculous. The absence of a governmental structure is the state of nature. In a state of nature, nobody would control No one. No one would control anyone. You would just live in your natural state. You would have to mind your business. You would not have the ability to control me, but I also would not have the ability to control you. But the reason why he wants to cling to statism is because he wants to control us, right? He wants to be able to use the state to impose his will on everybody else. To say, oh, this is a Christian nation. Only men and women should be able to get married. I don't want certain people, specifically the blacks, because he already said that blacks are not qualified. So he wants to weaponize the state to deprive blacks of occupational licenses because he doesn't want to compete in a free market. This is absolute bullshit. He's trying to make it seem like he's the victim, that we're trying to impose our will on him. No, he doesn't want a free market. None of them want a free market. It's the state which allows him to be supreme. It's the state which gives him his privilege and allows him to thrive and exploit other people and be successful. That he cannot exist without a state. He cannot exist on his own merit in a state of nature.
Tell you how to live your life.
However you want. What I'm saying is that
So you're okay with me having 5 houses and 6 yachts?
What I'm saying is that the society that I currently
Answer
live
the question.
I'm forced to.
The guy didn't answer the question effectively. Let's listen to his response, and then I'm going to tell you what he should have said.
Wait, what? What was
You're okay with me having 5 houses and 6 yachts?
I'm not okay with you having them as if you are not using them.
Oh, not you. So all of a sudden you're now telling me how to live my life. I'm never going to tell you how to live your life, my friend. Why?
He is telling us how to live our lives. Let me keep going.
You tell me how to live mine.
See, this is the reason why you really need to understand the philosophy, because you would never stump me, because I actually understand what anarchy is about. I think he gave, let me go a little bit further, because I don't think his answer was very good.
No, he said if they're not being used, he said, I don't think you should be able to have them if they're not being used.
No, I said I don't, like I'm not saying that you can't own them. I'm saying that I don't think that that's okay, because there are.
What do you mean okay? Like the government should take them away? Not okay?
No, okay. I literally just said that I believe in limited government, right? I don't think the government should have the ability to do that.
Gosh, he's getting this all twisted. It's not limited government, because the only reason he has property rights in the first place is because the state gave it to him. When he filed that deed with the county clerk, that deed gave him the right to exclude people from his so-called property, when really in the state of nature, property would belong to everybody. So it's not big government to say that you should not have property that you're not using. Even under their system, right? Under their framework, there's something called adverse possession. So if someone is not using property for, let's say, 20 years or however long, it depends on the jurisdiction, then anybody can adversely take that property. I think there's stipulations about it. It has to be open and notorious and all of that. So even their legal framework recognizes that if you're not using property, then it can be commandeered by somebody else. The only problem I have with that is I think 20 years is excessive. It shouldn't take 20 years to determine that you're not using property. If you're not using property for 2 years, somebody should be able to come in and take it.
Right? What I'm saying is that there are people that are literally starving, and that if you had extra houses and they literally just came and occupied the houses that you are not using, they are justified because you are being a massive asshole.
See, he's not articulating. This is an emotional response. He's not using the tradition. It's almost like he's mixing traditional socialism with anarchy. And the way he's framing it is incorrect, because what he's saying is an act of violence. You have to start out with the premise that he did not have the right to own that property in the first place, because he's not using it. The workers are the ones who is using it. So if someone else came and made productive use of that property, they would be the rightful owners. It's not because he's an asshole because other people are starving and other people are home. No, that's not what it is. By that same measure, a homeless person does not have the right to that property if they're not going to make productive use of it. It's not based on need, which is which is what traditional socialists get wrong. It's about your productive use of it. So if a homeless person is not going to make productive use of it, then a homeless person is not entitled to it either. If the homeless person is going to come in and let's say they're going to, I don't know, produce some crops that can feed the neighborhood, or I don't know, they're going to start a business out of that. They're going to build homes. Or whatever. They're going to operate a daycare facility out of that. That is a productive use of it, and that would make him a legitimate and rightful owner of it. It's not because he needs it. That's bullshit. This is the reason why I reject the traditional socialist argumentation. It doesn't make sense. Everybody needs something. What is the point of having any property if this is based on need? You can say, oh, I need your car, so I'm just going to take it. Oh, you don't need your bed. You don't need your shoes. I'm just going to take it. No, that is not legitimate. That is not legitimate. I don't know. I don't even think that even comports with libertarian socialism. That's not what we believe.
Being a massive asshole to not, so if someone forcefully takes away something that is sedentary, not being used in that purpose, it is a rightful means of theft.
Yes.
Wow.
No, it was theft for you to acquire it in the first place.
Yes.
So you don't believe in private property rights?
No, I do not.
You don't believe in private property rights, so we're getting somewhere. So you're not a libertarian, my friend. Libertarians believe.
I'm not a libertarian in the American. I'm not a libertarian in the capitalist sense. I'm not.
Property rights are literally a legal fiction. Property rights have not existed until, I'm not sure when they existed. I'm saying legally, right? In a state of nature, you would have a house, but it would not be recorded. Everybody would just know that it was yours because you were using it. But the way that it's been set up in America, where you have this deed, and that is your property, and there's like a tract of land, and there's a map of a boundary of who owns what. No, that has never existed. It's a legal fiction. It doesn't make sense. It's okay, and I did a whole video about that. For Don, and how he explained that is that land is if you're a religious person, you don't even have to be religious, but it's an appeal to nature, right? There's only so much land, and so everybody has a right to acquire land. But even especially right now in 2025, the world is overpopulated. Most urban cities are heavily overpopulated. So your ability to acquire land is completely challenged and compromised. It's very difficult to find land that isn't habited. How are you going to find land? And then everybody already owns land because everybody has already bought it up. It's like a monopoly game. You can't find land that somebody doesn't own. So it's not like you can just go somewhere in uncharted territory and just go find land. So that's why it's theft, because you are preventing other people from acquiring land that you're not using.
Libertarian in the American
So
sense.
stop using the word, because you're anything
Stop
but it.
appropriating the word for your purposes.
They have absolutely appropriated the term libertarian. The libertarians in America are not true libertarians. They're anarcho-capitalists. They want to use the state to acquire property. They're not traditional libertarians. The traditional libertarians were the traditional libertarians were socialists, but I guess I can explain the difference between a traditional socialist and an anarchist. That the traditional socialists believe that they're going to use the state. So they're not against violence, by the way. Traditional socialists are pro-violent because they're going to use the state to create a fair society. They're going to have equality through violence. It's never going to work because they're never going to have the majority, and this is something they don't understand. They think that if they can just get in charge, they're going to force everybody to be good people. They're going to use the state to impose their will on everybody else, and their will is not necessarily libertarian. They do support a lot of authoritarian policies a lot of time. Many of them will force you to get vaccinated. Many of them don't respect your autonomy when it comes to certain decisions. Many of them do support occupational licenses, things that are really tyrannical over your day-to-day living situation. So they're not against. They don't adopt the non-aggression principle. That's not something that they do. They believe that violence is necessary in order to achieve the greater good. And theoretically, they think that once they achieve the ideal state, then they can abolish the state. But they believe in using the state as a means to an end. And so what you get is communism once the state is used to achieve socialism. But the problem is that once they get in power, it's like power concedes nothing. Those who are in power never want to give it up. So they want more power, right? They're never going to say, oh, well, we have achieved a socialist state, so now we're going to give the power back to the people. That is never going to happen. They're just going to expand and oppress people. And they think that they're doing this to make the ideal society. Meanwhile, those of us who don't agree with it, those of us who just want to be left alone, we don't get to be left alone, right? He's saying you can just go live off the grid. Gosh, there was a group of anarchists who tried to do that. I can't remember the name of them. This is where the whole so-called sovereign citizen movement started. They were living off the grid, minding their business, and then the federal government came in and raided them, and they had this whole shootout because they wanted to be left alone. I need to go back and find those videos so I can actually review that, because I want y'all to understand that living off the grid doesn't mean shit. At the end of the day, you are still under a state, and the state has ultimate authority. Living off the grid, I mean, I would say if you were going to live off the grid, maybe you can move into an unincorporated corporation, meaning it's not an incorporated municipality. So you're not going to have the police harassing you every day. You're not going to have the public services like, the public library and all that. And there are unincorporated municipalities in every state. I would say that those cities are probably more free than living in an incorporated municipality. But at the end of the day, it doesn't eliminate all law enforcement. It only eliminates the police. You still have the sheriff, you still have the constable, you still have state troopers, and then of course you still have the federal government. So it only eliminates one aspect of it. I mean, I guess in theory, if you were wealthy enough, you could have a compound that was gated, like the Mormons do, and then nobody can actually, I mean, of course, you're not completely free, but you can have your compound where you can be left alone in your day-to-day actions, your day-to-day life. But you would have to be extremely wealthy to have a compound. Or you would have to organize with a group of people who wanted to pull their resources together and actually accomplish that. But people are not interested in that. People don't want to be free. They want to be enslaved. They love being slaves. They just want to sit back and complain.
So why don't I use a new word? Conservatarian, pro-freedom, pro-liberty. Here's what we believe. We believe in private.
And by the way, I told y'all how my brother didn't like the fact that I'm calling myself an anarchist. He says that I should call it something else. It's like, no, words have meaning. I know what anarchy means, and I know the emotional appeal that it has. I know that when people hear anarchy, they see it as an actual threat, and it's supposed to be a threat. So why would I call myself something else? I'm not going to call. He said I should start a freedom party. Fuck that. No, I'm calling the fucking anarchist. I've been meaning to do it. I need to do another live stream talking about how I'm going to become a hardcore capitalist. Just some things that I want to say. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I need to get money so I can actually do all the things that I want to do. Just trying to appeal to people's moral sensibilities is not going to get me there. I need to actually be a capitalist, and I need to be a cutthroat capitalist, make enough money, and then I can implement the type of things that I want to implement. And then I don't actually have to build a consensus with people, because people are not going to get on board until they actually see it happening. And then all of a sudden they want to be the Johnny come latelys who want to reap all the benefits, even though they didn't want to do any hard work. They didn't want to get their hands dirty. But if I am able to get my own money and then actually make some things happen, then all of a sudden all these people are going to want to participate. So, and that's fine, but this is going to be transactional. Then you're going to have to pay to play. If I have to do this shit myself without any help from anybody, you're going to have to pay to be on board with this. I'm going to be a full-on capitalist. There is no sympathy, because you had an opportunity to do this of your own volition to support a Black state project, but everybody, I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody is interested in it. So I'm going to have to do this shit myself. And in order to do this, I'm going to have to be a capitalist. So, I guess I did feel guilty about that, because capitalism is inherently exploitive. But at the end of the day, I think people don't seem to have a problem with they don't have a problem with exploitation, and they also don't have a problem with being exploited. If you were to tell people that they were being exploited by paying $200 for a pair of Jordans, they're still going to buy the damn Jordans because it makes them feel good. So it is what it is.
Private property rights. We believe in the ability to go to an impartial judge or mediator when you disagree with someone in a marketplace. We believe
these judges are not impartial. This is the shit that guys, Charlie Kirk was so full of shit, so fucking delusional to say that a court is a neutral and detached arbiter of facts. No, they're not. They're biased as hell. And I need to do another video about that also. Talk about how the courts are a complete waste of time.
we believe that we should be able to sell what we want to sell and buy what we want to buy without government getting in the middle of it. We should be able, you should be able to.
The government was already in the middle of it. The government was in the middle of it when the government recognized your property rights.
Keep what you earn. That's what we believe. What do you find?
You didn't earn the shit, motherfucker. You didn't earn it. Property is theft. You got your property by exploiting people. You did not earn it.
What's wrong with that?
Well, no, I don't believe in private property, so that's the main thing.
Okay, then the discussion's a non-starter then.
All right, y'all. I mean, I wish Charlie Kirk was still alive. I mean, somebody fucking conjure him from the dead so I can actually explain to him what anarchy really means, because that guy did a piss poor job. Maybe I can debate his wife. I don't know. Maybe if she can stop her fake crying, and actually admit that that was just a business arrangement, and she didn't actually give a fuck about Charlie Kirk. I don't know how intelligent she is. She was a beauty pageant participant. I don't know. She seemed like a traditional Christian, just a Stepford wife. Whoever the new lead of Turning Points is going to be, maybe I can debate that person. Because I really need to debate one of these people about anarchy, because a lot of people don't really know what it actually means. You just think that it means that we're against government and we're against laws. That's not what anarchy means. It's a very principled philosophy. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Black Anarchist podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. The struggle is real, and the fight for liberation is far from over.